Hello, everybody, and welcome to Speak Out, the OutWrite podcast. I'm your host. My name is JQ, and you can use any pronouns for me.
Hi, I'm Emily, and my pronouns are she, her.
I'm Emma, and I use they, she, he pronouns.
I'm Alyssa, and I use she, her pronouns.
And I'm Rainer, I use he, him pronouns.
And today we are talking about all things queer monstrosity, because we are using November as our unofficial October, because we had other things to talk about in October, but now it's time for spooky scary skeletons. Or just sort of general monsters, as the case may be. Do we want to just start out by talking about queer-coded villains? Because I feel like that's a lot of the examples we have.
Could we define what queer monstrosity is?
Yeah, let's do that.
Perhaps?
I feel like that's a good idea.
Me personally, I don't know.
Okay, I don't want to,
Sorry.
Well, I feel like a lot of it is equating queerness with sort of inhumanity or evilness almost as a reflex, like without actually considering the aspects of queerness or like what a queer person is doing, just taking queerness as itself and being like, ooh, evil and scary, gross even.
Yeah, I agree. I think it has a lot to do with, like, fear of, like, excess and, like, pleasure and, like, that kind of thing, especially in, like, Western society where it's, like, it must be evil because, like, queerness, I don't know, especially, like, queer sexuality.
No, like Puritanism?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's very rooted in, like, oh, well, like, you know, desire and, like, that kind of things. And then they're like, no, actually, if you have fun, that's bad.
If you have fun, you are evil.
You are
Satan.
evil!
Sorry.
That's, like, what? That's like the whole, like, sins in the flesh thing.
Yeah,
It's like you're
exactly.
supposed to be, like, only take joy in spiritual or, like, metaphysical things, and so enjoying things that are physical is, like, inherently bad because...
Yeah.
Because, that's all.
Because.
No justification.
That's
Well, I'm sure there's
Aw.
justification. Yeah. That part.
Can't just show up and immediately hate on Paul.
Who's Paul?
From the Bible.
Paul from the Bible.
Oh! Wait, there's a dude named Paul in the Bible?
Yes?
Yeah, he wrote like
He
most
wrote
of
a
the New
bunch of letters.
Testament.
Oh shit, okay, true. That's a basic ass name. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh, dude,
it is
all the
some
basic
dude.
ass dude names come from the Bible.
Yeah. John.
I was
gonna say John.
Matthew.
Oh my god. Those are basic ass names, God!
Ecclesiastes.
Bartholomew.
Okay, now can we talk about queer-coded villains?
Yes.
Now that we've done our heresy for the day.
Alright. That's not our cancelable moment. We're a
No.
podcast. We're allowed to be
No, I
heretics.
mean,
That's sort of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
I'm pointing to our double bags.
Can people see the tote bags?
I don't think so.
Okay, we have tote bags that say have a devil of a time on them with like a little jester devil, which you
With
should
top
buy from
surgery
us, by the
scars.
way. Okay, now... I feel like we should probably start with Disney villains because I feel like they're iconic,
Yeah.
but also like really clear examples. Like the first thing, like when we came up with the topic, I was like, yeah, we should talk about Ursula from The Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
Because it's like, yeah, we made our inhuman evil monster, and then we based her on a drag queen.
Indeed. She did serve cunt though.
She
She did.
She did, but it was like against their efforts, you know? They
Yeah.
tried to make her not. They tried to make her like ugly, but actually,
But actually, she's kind of fucking cool.
Yeah.
No, they tried everything, but she looked so good. And, like, I feel like even her makeup was just, like, such traditional, like, drag makeup. It was very, like, it's very insane that they just did that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They were not subtle.
No.
Like, I know that they, like, took inspiration from a specific drag queen, right? Like,
Yeah, it was
Divine, yeah.
Yeah.
But, like, there was, like, some sort of controversy about how they didn't use, like, a queer makeup artist, and so it kind of ended up, like, not...
Oh yeah, like
Oh
the
my
eyes, the eyebrows were like...
Yeah, it didn't end up, like, a great representation. It was kind of like a watered-down representation of drag makeup, and it was just like, damn,
Yeah.
could have looked cooler.
Yeah, they could have gone hard. I mean, but it's Disney, so.
Also,
Also,
it's
are we-
live action Disney, which
Yeah,
is like
exactly.
even worse than
Kind
regular
of lame,
Disney.
TBH.
Yeah, but I think that about the makeup, I think the makeup artist said something about it looks like, it was supposed to look like Ursula did it herself, which I thought was an insult to Ursula.
Yeah, like you think she doesn't
Oh,
know how to do
she could do
makeup?
better than that. No
Yeah,
fucking
exactly.
way. She would not have that boring, basic makeup. Like, come on. That was, you know, it was too basic.
I like the implication that in the animated The Little Mermaid, Ursula had someone else to do her makeup.
Yeah, what?
The eels,
Yeah.
Flotsam and whatever the other one's name is.
Oh my God, Jetson.
Jetson, yeah.
to monsters.
Should we give like some historical background on why Disney villains were so queer coded?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Do you
Talk
wanna-
about
I'd
Howard
love to hear
Ashman?
that. About
Yeah.
Howard Ashman?
Go for it.
Howard
yeah.
Ashman, with Alan Menken, did the music for The Little Mermaid. They were a duo, and Howard Ashman was famously a gay man. And he was the one who made the decision to base Ursula off of Divine, the drag queen. So there's like a history of a lot of queer people in the arts, as we know. And there's like, I think it's a complicated issue because it's like there were queer people, a lot of them who were closeted, working in these industries and trying to insert queer characters or like queer coded characters into the work. But then because of the Hays Code, basically you couldn't have a queer coded character or a queer character in your movie or TV show unless they were punished at the end. So then that's what kind of led to queer coded characters becoming villains, because that was the only place for them in a narrative.
Like, you can't portray moral indecency in a positive light. It has to be
Yeah.
the
Right.
status quo of heteronormativity has to be restored at the end.
Right.
Yeah.
Although not in so many words, of course.
It needs to be super subconscious so that it really gets into people's minds and they don't know.
It makes you have a
Perfect.
queer awakening
Yeah.
while watching Disney movies.
And
Oh my God,
simultaneously
true.
having internalized homophobia.
Not
It's a
slay.
great
That's
combination.
entirely less good than having your sexual awakening from a Disney villain.
No, like it would be harder to name a non-queer coded villain in
that's kind of
Disney.
fair.
Because like
Yeah, Scar from Mufasa.
Yes.
Or
No, and I feel like the guy from The Frog Princess, The Princess and the Frog, excuse me,
Oh,
was like also kind
Dr.
of,
Facilier.
yeah, I would say, and then like
I feel like Frollo maybe not.
yeah,
like,
okay,
Frollo could be
he's
straight.
different.
Yeah.
He's different.
He's got something else.
Which one is
He's got something else going on.
Oh, yeah, okay, right.
Yeah.
They've got different queer things going on in that movie. Not the villain so much, but...
I thought of one, but I'm still ruminating on it. But like Gaston is probably not queer coded, but then I don't know. I could probably think of a reason
Didn't they
why he
make
would
his
be.
buddy
No,
so evil
Lafou.
gay in the live
Yeah.
action?
That was
Oh my
so
God, I forgot that
unhinged.
there was a
Yeah.
live action Beauty and the Beast.
And they made like his little buddy, like they made him very. Didn't he almost say things like that were like almost explicitly queer? I feel
He
like.
danced
I feel like
Yes,
yeah.
he danced
Yeah.
with another man.
For 1 second, and they were like, "Oh my god,
In the
Disney's
background,
first
in the
gay
background.
character."
Wait, a live slug reaction.
Slug reaction!
That was cringe though. Bring back cunty gay villains. Not like that. Not like this.
Not like that.
It's like when they're trying not to be homophobic, it somehow becomes more homophobic.
Yeah!
Yeah.
God, because then they fucking sanitize it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, when Ursula is like queer coded, she serves, and it's like she may be evil, but like I love her while she's doing it. Whereas Gaston's small bro is like,
Small
I
bro.
still don't know his name.
Oh, it is the.
They really named him the crazy.
Yeah.
Damn.
Not their fault, I guess. Maybe.
No, their fault. They
Yeah.
chose this
Yeah.
life.
They could have changed it.
They could have changed it.
Yeah, I mean, the whole point of like fun queer monstrosity is that like it is going outside of like the societal bounds in a way where it's like we're embracing it. So it's like, yeah, it's like, damn, not you making him cringe.
Right.
No, for
Yeah.
real.
But is this a case of like, if we were doing this now, is that acceptable? You know, like this is all stuff that happened in history, and we're revisiting it and looking at it, and trying to reconcile it, I guess, or the fact that we enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
But what do we say about like people who will continue to queer code their villains today?
I think this segues into like complex like queer like POV characters that are also evil. Like, I don't know. I haven't seen Hannibal, but like Hannibal or like
Okay, we
Killing
cannot-
Eve
Wait, okay, yeah.
or Yellow Jackets, which I also haven't seen. But like, yeah, like all of those or Bottoms.
Oh, bottoms. Oh.
Yeah,
I still need to see that.
You
Good,
did,
right?
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I need to see it.
So
Yeah.
good.
It was just like, yeah.
Anyway, morally complex queer characters.
Yeah.
Evil? Question mark.
POV.
Yeah, I don't know, thoughts.
Support gay wrongs.
Support your
Support
own.
your
Yeah.
own.
No, I feel like I would still be okay with people having queer villains if they also have queer non-villains, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Especially if like a villain being queer and it's not like a pedophilia thing.
Yeah.
Not to be like, oh, it should just be another part of who they are. Like, we don't need to only tell queer stories, but also like, it is nice for to have like a lot of characters who are queer without queerness being the only thing that's going on.
Yeah, the Love Simon thing. You know.
Not Love Simon.
Oh yeah, Love Simon, the ultimate sanitized gay story.
I watched that movie on a plane, and it is such a plain movie.
It really is.
It doesn't ask anything of anyone.
It's a gay movie for straight people.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
100%. It's like baby's first gay movie.
Yeah.
You know,
It
like,
actually was.
true. It like introduces you to the concept so you can like
It's like,
do
oh,
better.
gay people are just like you. This is honestly, I feel like what you were talking about with assimilation versus
Yes,
evolution.
yeah.
Oh yeah, love that concept in this context.
Yeah. Love Simon is not slay because basically they're saying like, look at gay people. They're the same as you straight people, and they have weddings too. But that's like not the best thing to say, I don't think. I mean, we're all people, I guess, but like there's aspects of queer culture that are different, and that should be okay too. And we should just like, you know, do the gay wrongs and be like, this is okay, and it's actually not sinful, and not have those associations. And that's why things like movies like Bottoms are great, because like, yes, did all the lesbian characters murder a bunch of people? But are they still the heroes? Yes, we accept them, and we accept their gay wrongs. Don't murder people. But like, it's a great
OutWrite as
movie.
an organization does not condone murder.
Yeah, we hear it outright. Do not condone murder.
There we go. We hear it outright.
Did people have things they wanted to say though about like Hannibal or anything? I don't know because I haven't seen it.
I honestly have not either.
Okay, so valid. Yeah. So JQ, did you have things you?
Yeah. No, I mean, you can go first.
Oh, I am in the process. I'm like probably almost at the end of the first season. I've been going very slow because I go very slow watching TV shows. I think it's more that the relationship between them is queer coded more than he himself is queer coded. Like his kid, like in the sense that Disney villains are queer coded because their characters embody like archetypes or like characteristics usually associated with queer people. I think that it's more that like the relationship between Hannibal and Will is like kind of homoerotic more so than like Hannibal himself embodies some sort of queer archetype.
It almost takes like the buddy cop thing and then dials it up to like 12.
Dials it up real high.
Yeah.
Because they just like are so
It like removes the machismo. I feel like
true.
There's many things Hannibal is, but macho is not one of them.
I'd say with Will, like
Yeah.
he's just a wet cat, you know?
And I feel like when it removes the like, oh, we're both macho men and we only feel the fires of platonic love for one another, you can get like a much clearer view of the kind of intense homosociality that the relationship engenders. And also, they're both kind of evil. Sorry, Will. But
Slay.
not great behaviors sometimes.
I mean, that sounds like a better way to do it than like relying on queer stereotypes.
Yes. I mean, I won't say there are no queer stereotypes, especially with Hannibal, but like, I feel like it's few enough that if he wasn't evil in a media franchise known for being a little bit problematic about gender nonconformity, then I wouldn't really think about it. Fuck you, Silence of the Lambs.
No, for real.
No.
Cringe.
Cringe.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, I don't know, maybe this is just a Tumblr thing, but I do think cannibalism kind of queer.
No.
Yeah.
No, because I bet it goes. I think, like, you know, in some convoluted way, it goes back to the whole idea of enjoying pleasures of the flesh.
Yeah, exactly.
Pleasures of the extremely literal flesh.
Exactly.
Literally.
Yeah,
Like
you
the
get so
consumption.
literal with it, and then it's gay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm always seeing like crazy Tumblr posts that are like, oh, like, when you want someone so bad that, like, the only way to get, like, close enough to them is to literally, like, consume them. That haunts me a little bit. And I know, like, I don't know. I know people like Yellow Jackets. I didn't watch it. It was too scary for me. But something, gay people.
I also haven't seen Yellow Jackets.
I think
I have
between
not
us, we've
either.
seen like one episode.
So true.
And it wasn't me.
I was gonna say that, like, I don't know if anyone listens to Ethel Cain, but, like, very much, like, that whole thing of, like, when you love someone so much that you just, like, need to, like, physically, like, consume them. Like, this love is, like, overpowering. I think that's just, like, an interesting kind of, like, narrative that's, like, been in a lot of, like, movies. And I think, like, just, like, the intensity of queer love, too, kind of can go into that in some ways.
No, I totally agree with you. Because I think, like, when you have queer media, you actually have stakes that are high enough that are, like, oh yeah, no, it is that crazy, like the us against the world kind of like dynamics actually do come into play. Where it's like, oh, if you're straight people, I'm like, why aren't you getting together? Like, there's nothing stopping you. Why are you so afraid? Like,
Your
get
families
over
have
it.
not been in a blood feud for like a century, so literally.
Yeah, get over it.
Get
But like, if it's gay people, kind of realistic.
Yeah.
Literally, I cannot believe that I didn't write anything about the Magnus Archives in my notes.
Oh my god!
Oh my fucking God!
Yeah, I
Oh my
listened
God.
to like 30 episodes of it.
I've also seen like
but
20 or
I'm
something.
familiar with a lot of the things that happen because people are crazy about it online. And like, my god, what a podcast about literally turning into a monster while being gay, but also you're still the sympathetic main character, question mark? Good for you.
Morally questionable main character, but like,
Sympathetic though.
yeah.
Wait,
And like,
Jonathan
partners
Sims turns
still-
into a
He
monster?
like literally gets possessed by the what the fuck is it called?
the eye.
Yeah, the eye.
So the deity that represents the fear of.
Yeah, the archivist.
Oh
Sorry.
yeah, the deity that represents the fear of being watched. And he's like,
And he,
so
like,
he like
is the
knows
watcher.
everything. He is the watcher, and he
Okay,
can like
that's
kill
why I see
people
the
by
fan
looking
art
at him
with him
too
with all
hard.
the
Oh
eyes.
my
Yeah,
god,
yeah.
the fan art with him all the eyes. God,
That's crazy.
I have so many
Absolutely
feelings
looks
about
at
this
people.
podcast. In case that wasn't clear. Yeah. And then they're gay, and it's literally them versus the world, saving
That's
the whole world at the very
crazy.
end. And then like his partner, who was very much like this kind of like soft, like trying to help everybody, is kind of
Nebbish.
just like, what?
Nebbish.
What does that mean? Just
It's
like
a
that,
very good
basically.
description of him.
Okay,
Just
cool.
trust
Yeah,
me.
yeah, Martin moment. His name's Martin. He turns around and he's like, well, I think you should kill all these people who are doing bad things. And the archivist is like, no, but it makes me feel guilty. And he's like, no, you should go all kill Bill on them. Anyways,
It's like,
Martin moment.
gay wrongs.
yeah. Anyways, but queer monstrosity as a way of saying fuck you to the people who have rejected you and harmed you and cast you out.
Yeah.
Also, and I feel like Welcome to Night Vale honestly does this better. I feel like queer monstrosity also is a way of sort of reclaiming alienation from general society.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that part.
Like, Cecil basically is... I mean, he's normal for Night Vale, but like, you as the listener feel very alienated from Night Vale itself, because it is a weirdo ghost town full of inexplicable and unexplained, not even like spooky occurrences, just like weird shit.
Just so weird.
Yeah, and I feel like in many ways that is a replica of this sad parts of the queer experience, but like almost reframed in a very happy and loving way. Like, it reframes the alienation you might feel, or like the dehumanization you might feel from not experiencing or something that everyone is like, oh, you need this to be human. Like, I have this about our ACE spectrum episode. Like, if you don't feel sexual attraction, and everyone is like, but it's part of the human experience. That's very alienating. And I feel like Night Vale is a space to explore that alienation while still being, like, loved, almost. Can you tell I have a lot of feelings about this podcast?
And the fact that do you mean being loved and the fact that like Cecil is still talking to the listeners and clearly has like affection for them?
Yeah,
It's like
and, like,
giving them the time of
And
the
he
day.
himself is part of this, like, big, happy queer love story.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like, I feel like that's also very like our flag means death coded. I don't know.
No, go on.
Yeah, no, I think, I mean, in the first season, it really goes hard on the, like, monstrosity, like, tropes, because, like, the main characters, Steed and Blackbeard, are both like framed as like monstrous and to their own like self-perceptions because of like the murder. But yeah, no, because like Steed and Blackbeard are very like they both committed like murders. Okay, spoilers.
Sorry.
Wait, murder.
No,
Steve commits murders?
Steed commits murders. Close your ears if you don't want to hear. But yeah, Steed kills a British officer, and
As you should, though.
yeah, fuck
That's
the military.
teenage.
And Edward Blackbeard kills his dad. So yeah, and so because of that, they both view themselves as like monsters, and like Steed literally has like a interaction with the brother of the officer he kills, who's like, you're a monster, you like ruin every good thing, and like no one would ever love you, blah blah blah. Basically, like every queer person's
he
like,
did kill that guy.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Every queer person's like hears and like Ed is like, I'm unlovable, like I'm the Kraken or whatever.
Doesn't he literally have like a whole spiel where he like tells the story of his dad dying, but he's like, and the Kraken killed him.
Yeah, and then it's like, actually it was me
He's
though.
like, that was me though.
It was me though. That's crazy. Yeah, and I think what's like really nice about the show is because like it kind of frames like piracy as like this queer like society that's like outside of society, where you can find like queer community and be accepted for who you are, and then like through queer love and queer community, they both like learn to accept themselves and like be like, actually, I'm not a monster. It's just society that made me.
But isn't it like sad at the end of the first season?
It is, but the second season ends happily.
Okay, well I haven't watched the second season, and I also didn't finish the first season because I heard that it ended sadly.
Well, now you can watch it.
Now I can watch it.
Yeah, the second season ends happily, and I think that just like carries through with a lot of the characters, like Izzy. You'll find out.
Oh, also, I feel like there's something interesting in that they're using like the names of historical personages, particularly Blackbeard, but also Steve Bonnet, to do this like thing about queer monstrosity almost. Like they're using the real life alienation and also the fact that you're like familiar with these people to sort of throw you off even more by doing this very human story with these like almost caricatured historical people.
Yeah, like
I feel like
mythic
this-
figures.
Yeah. I feel like that was a really interesting creative decision. It could have just been like, and we are pirates in the age of piracy, like Pirates of the Caribbean style. Honestly, I low-key feel the same way about Heartstopper that I do about Love, Simon, though.
No, that's valid.
Oh yeah,
Just
entirely
like,
fair.
too
Does
boring
it
for
give me warm fuzzy feelings? Fucking yes. But yeah, also in like it is very much queer media for young queers, but in that sense it also kind of lead like for that reason to like make it like kid friendly, I guess. I think they also like left out things. Yeah, like sanitized it, left things out.
It's interesting because I agree, like, it gives me that warm, fuzzy feeling, but I don't know if it's
It
just
really
because
does.
I'm like, yeah, it's just like, I'm like, am I so starved for these queer stories that I'm like looking at this and I'm like, oh, this is so sweet. It's nice to see like queer people represented and like their love and like in a more like normal way, I guess, but it's also like, and it's not like in a tragic way, because I feel like we all know like a lot of queer stories are about queer tragedy, and it is nice to see like queer joy, but like it also is kind of definitely presented for straight people to be like very easily digestible.
I think that's why it's just good to have like more queer rep, because I think like Heartstopper is doing like an important thing for like young queer people,
Yeah.
but also like like personally I was like, yeah, I'm kind of bored. But that's like obviously I know a lot of people love it, and I think that's like good for you to like people to like have that like happy like queer stuff for like young people, but then also it's nice to have like K-roms too.
Well, I mean, those game wrongs. I really like Heartstopper, and I know that a lot of like older queer people really don't like it because they say it's like unrealistic and there isn't enough sex. But I agree with you what you're saying about like how you just need to have more queer media, because I think it's really important that Heartstopper is like a show that creates like an altered reality where there isn't like sexual pressure on teenagers all the time. And they can just, like, be in love and, you know, explore that at their own pace.
I feel like is that the reason why people don't like it? Is because there's not like sex in it?
No, that is
Yeah.
I don't think that's the
a reason
reason.
I've ever heard
That
anyone.
is, no, a lot of people say, like,
They're weird for that then. They're weird for that.
They're two teenage boys and they're not having sex. That's unrealistic. When I
I
was
have
that
never
age.
heard
Don't they, like,
anyone
15?
make that critique.
Yeah, I think
I
so.
definitely could see
I've heard that it's
No, it's a
boring
lot of,
critique
like-
a lot though.
It's a lot of like millennials.
Okay,
I
well,
listen to
like it for that
millennials
reason.
though, and the millennials I hear don't say that.
Well, it's. I mean,
that might be a chronically online take.
okay, my bad. I exposed myself there.
No, it's okay.
Also, Trixie and Katya talked about that. So I know. I know what I saw, but maybe I am chronically online.
No, like that's like only people like millennials who are chronically online are like saying that.
I
That's
see.
yeah, that's
Right, not like your take.
Not like
is
your
chronically
take is
online.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I am, but
yeah, the
No,
chronically
that's
online
valid.
takes. Yeah, I mean, for sure that's not the reason why I was bored. I just
fair.
yeah.
Yeah, it definitely does come back to having a range of things because then everybody wouldn't have to rely on Heartstopper for their queer media fix.
Exactly, and I can just go watch something else.
Exactly,
like,
yeah.
Vampire or something.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
still be gay.
yeah, I also like think for me, like growing up, like I didn't have any show that was like you could watch as a kid. Like there was like the L Word, but I'm not gonna be watching that when I'm
Exactly.
like 9 years old. But like I think it's nice to just have some sort of media for young queer people because I think if I would have seen more queer people in the media growing up, I would have like helped to realize my sexuality faster. And I think it is like an important thing in some ways, like just to see yourself in any way in like a positive way, you know?
I think especially. God, we're so off topic.
We're so off topic.
Sorry, that was like so.
No, you're so good.
No, we can pull it back.
Yeah, anyways, I mean, queer futures. Like, I feel like that's the other thing that Heartstopper does do right in some ways, is that it, like, offers kids, like, an option, like... Yeah, anyways,
I mean,
back to,
they
like,
are
the
in, like,
idealized
high school,
universe and
though.
stuff. Yeah,
Not
yeah.
the future.
this is true. No, not really, but, you know, like... Actually, I think it's the opposite, where it means they don't have to rely on this ideal future that they're constantly working towards because the past kind of like maybe sucks a little bit. It's like, you know, also your present can be good.
Good.
Anyways.
Anyways,
No,
turn it back around.
I do feel like in some ways Heartstopper, even though not for me, I feel like it is important to not just have like what we've been talking about, like only queer villains and queer monstrosity.
Definitely.
Like
Mm.
I don't think anyone here would disagree with that, regardless of our personal opinions about whether we want to watch Heartstopper. I don't think anyone here is contesting its right to exist or that it's good that it exists.
Yeah. How about queer monstrosity, like, in a literal physical form? Like, how vampires are kind of queer-coded, and werewolves, in their own way, are sometimes a little bit queer-coded, too.
So true.
Like, the physicality of monstrosity, I guess.
Yes.
No,
Well,
I
we
just
have to
wanted-
save
have something
vampires
you'd
for
like to
next
say?
week, because that's next
I'm just
week.
laughing at that.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I think, okay, trans person brain rot, but I feel like
True.
queer monstrosity in like a trans sense is very, like, it is very rooted in like the body and stuff. And I don't know, like, okay, I'm gonna read the quote that I put in the notes, but I read this poetry collection called The Year of Blue Water from one of my classes, and it's a lot of it is centered around like the trans experience and like the trans experience like with your body specifically. And there's this one line that the author has that is, it says like, repulsion is a feeling that you can direct to your own body, but someone has to teach you first. And I think like that really ties into like, I don't know, like being trans and like society being like, you are like monstrous for like being like in between or like not quite like something or the other. And I think that like, I don't know, I don't know if it's a good book to read, but a book if you want to like look into these things.
Yeah, I feel like you could probably speak more to this than I could because I'm just sort of genderqueer and you're like a trans man. But I feel like there is definitely, especially as someone AFAB, a weird sort of like, oh, you're destroying your beauty, like you're destroying your body
Oh my god, yeah.
by transitioning or even by like presenting in a gender non-conforming way. Like that in itself makes you not desirable and so monstrous.
Yeah, no, very much the idea of a woman, an ideal woman as somebody small and something to protect, and a way to rally against people is by saying, oh, they're threatening women. Like, that's where you get, like, trans women being demonized, is because of this idea of women and also children as this kind of, like, idealized victim that has no agency and that
Yeah,
people
like
need to protect.
Missing white woman syndrome.
Oh, what is that?
Oh, like where when a white woman goes missing, then she gets like a lot of
Oh,
media
right.
coverage and police effort, and when like people of color and especially men of color go missing, it's like whatever.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so true.
So true.
I'd have to- Oh yeah, the book that if people want to read something about like transness and monstrosity and also cannibalism, there's a book called Walking Practice. I don't remember the author's name off the top of my head, but it's about an alien who is very like monstrous physically, and goes around like killing people essentially, like having sex with them and then
Interesting.
killing them. Which is like I do
Nice.
think the way it handles the monster is a little like the author is, I believe, like trans or genderqueer. It does not end like hopefully, but it is interesting if people want to check that out.
If I found the correct novel, it is by Doki Min.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah,
Correct.
there you go.
yeah, but very very transgressive in a kind of a fun way.
Transgressive.
Yeah.
Love
That's
it.
not a good joke.
Cancel
Yeah.
Moment of the episode.
And I made a bad joke. One, please. I do want to talk about Good Omens, though.
Oh yeah, we should talk about Good Omens.
Omens.
Okay, what are your thoughts?
Okay, I'm like too crazy about Neil Gaiman to start this off, so I don't remember anything that happened in the show, and I didn't watch the second season.
Oh.
So I'm only going to be talking about the book.
Going about the
That's
straight
valid.
brain
You should
rot.
talk
Yeah.
about the book too, though. No, I need to gather my thoughts.
Okay,
now.
because I feel like a lot of what you were saying was about the show, because I was like, and I have no idea what he's talking about, but I'm sure he's right, because English major.
Yeah,
No, but I really feel like in some ways, Book Aziraphale, like, is struggling with queer monstrosity. Like, no, I'm so unwell about him.
so real.
So unwell. I feel like Crowley is the easy target, and so I had to be contrary.
Mhm.
But I feel like there's so much, and like he's attempting to fit into human society in a completely unnecessary way, and then at random interludes, it's just like very obvious that this creature is not human at all. And also, there's a bit towards the end of the book where he's like literally possessing a woman. Like he is literally a man presenting creature in a woman's body, and it's like, hope there's no subtext here.
Damn,
Like
that's
his little
crazy.
character introduction is like, 3 things were obvious about him. He was English, he was intelligent, and he was gayer than a tree full of monkeys on nitrous oxide.
That's
And it's
a
like-
crazy description.
No, did this not make it to the show though? Like that is it's so iconic.
No, not that
That
line.
was not in the show.
They weren't like
Distressing.
explicitly like textually queer in the show.
Okay, but like they're
Until
not.
the like
Till season 2.
until season 2, yeah.
I wouldn't say Crowley is textually queer, and you could argue that, like, they're not actually men. They are, except when they make. Wait, fuck, is that Dogma?
No, I know what you're talking about.
No, except for when they make an effort. Sorry, there's another movie called Dogma, which also has angels who are pretty homoerotic, honestly. And sometimes I get them confused a little bit.
That's valid.
But I feel like Aziraphale there's like so much to unpack there that your main non-human character is an angel, which is like, good, but also you introduce him and it's like, and he is gay in 1990, which is like an interesting position to be in. Like it immediately positions him as something other, and then throughout the book he's like even more other. He's very different from all the rest of the characters, especially Adam, the kid.
Isn't there a line where in the book, I haven't read the book, where like they get a woman who's like hitchhiking or something, and then she's like concerned, and she's like, never mind, they're gay.
No, they
safe.
accidentally hit Anathema's bicycle with their car, and then Aziraphale magically fixes the bicycle, and then it's implied that like Anathema's nervous because these two strange men are like handling her only means of egress a lot. And then at the end, as they're getting in the car, Crowley says, "Get in, Angel," and she goes, "I had never been in any danger after all."
Yeah.
Like, okay,
So
guys.
silly. So I guess Carly a little bit queer-coded.
No, Curly also queer-coded, but I feel like, at least in the show, from what I remember, it's so obvious that, like, do I even, like, oh, fallen angel, sauntered vaguely down.
Yeah,
He just fell in with the wrong crowd. Like, me when hanging out with gay people makes me gay, question mark?
Also, I think that David Tennant is just kind of like...
Oh yeah, David Tennant
Anytime
seems to be a little bit flamboyant.
He does, and
Yeah.
I love that about him.
No, yeah, I agree. Like, Aziraphale, there's so much to unpack there. Like, I think, like, the religious trauma intersecting with, like, the queer monstrosity, like, self-perception and stuff. And, like, oh my god, okay, the end of season 2 was so crazy. Okay, close your ears if you don't want to hear.
No,
We're
it's
gonna
okay, I
spoil it.
already heard it.
But, yeah, no, basically what happens is, like, Aziraphale is offered, who's the angel, as Jakey said, is offered a position as one of the archangels of heaven, so, like, top dog, you know, that kind of thing.
It's like new Gabriel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I can fix heaven, I can fix the broken system. And then Crowley is like, comes back and he's finally like worked up the courage to like confess to Aziraphale that he like is in love with him. And he's like, I've been in love with you for like thousands of years. And then Aziraphale's like, anyway, so I accept the job. He's like, and they said that you could become an angel too. And then Crowley's like, how did you misinterpret everything I've ever wanted so badly? Like, he's like, basically like, we only need each other and like, fuck the system and like, let's just run away together.
No, yeah. Well, I feel like in one of the major themes, at least in the book, is like they're not on heaven's side or on hell's side. They're on their own side
Exactly.
/ Earth's side.
Which is so gay.
Yeah. By the way, they're really gay.
Yeah, and then he like kisses him as Crowley kisses Aziraphale as like a last ditch attempt to be like, this is what you're like missing out on. Like, this is how much I like care about you. And then Aziraphale is like freaking out, going through the 5 stages of grief. Like, you can see that like the face journey was crazy. And then he's like, he turns to Crowley and then he says, I forgive you. And I was like,
Which is
Wait, sorry, am I interpreting that right? Forgive you, like, in the sense of he is gonna get the job and he's like, I can fix you. Or
No,
he's not
I feel like-
different.
I have not seen the show, but it seems extremely loaded from a like Crowley is a demon, which means he should be seeking God's forgiveness type thing.
Is that what it's saying?
I think it's like whatever you can interpret, but yeah, I think that definitely ties into it. But there's also like the layer of like, yeah, exactly, like you're a demon, you're not supposed to like interact with me in this way, and then also just like the internalized homophobia. It's just like,
And that was my impression from at least the show. I only watched the 2 seasons of the show, but like the queer metaphor there, I thought was like the fact that Aziraphale's an angel and Crowley's a demon. Because like, yes, there is that aspect of like, they are literally queer and that neither of them have gender really. But and then they're also like, what do you say, Aziraphale is like gay in the book. Like in his human form.
Introduced as at
so,
least appearing very gay.
Yeah, there's like that aspect of like literal queerness as we understand it in like our human society, and then there's also like the metaphor for queerness on that like angelic and demon level. And so when Aziraphale says, I forgive you, it's like that's the homophobia, internalized homophobia.
And I feel like, and I'm recalling this from the first season of the show, doesn't John Hamm, Gabriel, like, needle at Aziraphale a lot for being, like, too human in a way that's kind of homophobic?
yeah, probably.
It really feels like, well, there's the bit where he, like, comes in the bookstore and he's like, hello, I would like to purchase pornography. And then he, like, low-key, made me very sad to watch him say whatever he said.
Yeah, no, definitely. I feel like also there's the added aspect of like, in season 2 at least, it's like revealed the first time that like Aziraphale eats human food. And it's because Crowley like offers it to him and it's like framed as temptation, which is again coming back to like consumption and pleasure.
Up, though, because in the book, Crowley barely eats. And Aziraphale eats, like, is shown to indulge in human pleasures like that a lot. Like sushi.
Yeah, and so it's kind of like, oh, like
That's
Aziraphale
good.
loves to eat, but like it's like the person who introduced it was like Crowley, but then Aziraphale's like, this is a bad thing, like
So
I'm being
fucked
tempted
up.
like right now, and I think that's like the same thing with like the kiss where he's like, it's like pleasure, it's, like
Yeah.
kind of like like
Oh.
desire and like that kind of thing where he like wants things and he's like, this is like sinful, and I'm like, oh, that's crazy, why would you say that?
Yeah, shit.
Do you want to talk about Jennifer's body before?
Fuck yeah, I want to talk about Jennifer's body. Let me pull up my notes really quick because I want to remember what I said.
You're like, how did they make Jennifer and Needy fail the reverse Bechdel test?
Oh my god,
And I was like,
yeah,
I felt
because
that.
I know that with Jennifer's body, they probably intended for the queerness of Jennifer and Needy literally kissing. I said this before, and I will say it again, bro. People were like, oh my god, there's queer subtext in this. And then there was no sub, just text. They kiss on the lips. They're like, Jennifer only cares about Needy. She's like her sole motivator. Everyone else, she's like, you are just meat to me. And like, that's the demonic possession. But like, Needy is the one person who's still like a person to her.
It's crazy.
And then she ends up like killing her in a really homoerotic way. They're literally on a bed and she like stabs her and then it's like they're laying down and it's like, oh my god, this is so homoerotic. But I mean, so I know that they were trying to probably the intention was that the queerness of their relationship was like obsession and, it was framed as obsession, it was framed as degenerative probably. But it just ended up being like one, sexy, and like two, that's in the notes, and two, like kind of almost like radical, like women autonomy, because it was like they, like I said, like they literally like just failed the reverse Bechdel test. Like all of the other dudes got killed off. Any other relevant man got killed off. Jennifer
Yeah.
literally like says at one point, she's like, "I'm not killing people, I'm killing boys," and I was like, true.
So true.
Yeah. But yeah, that part. And then, yeah. She's also like a monster, but in kind of a fun way.
Yeah,
and she's
no,
Megan
she is
Fox.
literally
Fuck, she's Megan
queer
Fox.
villain.
God.
And she is Megan Fox.
She's so Megan Fox. Yeah, anyways.
I mean, the first
That
time
movie.
I watched that movie, I was like, I don't get it because people love it, and I didn't understand why. Because what I got from that is like Jennifer, canonically queer, canonically bisexual.
Oh my god, wait, is she actually?
Yeah, she like says,
Fuck yeah.
she says, they're like fighting in a swimming
Mhm.
pool area,
Yeah.
and then she's like, I like both or something.
Oh, true.
Like, it's very explicit. And then immediately after that, Needy and her boyfriend, what's his name, take a long, sharp stick and like stab her together.
Yes.
And I'm like, is this supposed to be like...
Me when I get penetrated by both a man and a woman.
Oh my god, cancelable moment.
But I was like, is this like heterosexuality metaphorically defeating queerness? And then at the end, Needy stabs Jennifer, and that's like now her queerness is gone too, but then she ends up in a mental institution. Like, I don't know. I thought it was pretty homophobic the first time I watched it. But then
Fair,
I think
probably
like
intended to be.
most things from the past are.
Yeah.
And then we just like find slayness in it.
Yeah.
And like looking back, like I had an urge to watch it last week. So I guess I did like
Right
it.
up there with BBC Sherlock.
Yeah. Oh my god, let's not get into
Equal
that.
levels of homophobia.
But I have seen BBC Sherlock, and Stephen Moffat has a lot to say about bisexual women and femme fatale feminism, and none of it is good. He is like basically Irene Adler. This has been like a long-standing tradition of Sherlock adaptations.
Just
that like
fucking up Irene Adler.
yeah, that she's like
She's like, oh.
hypersexual and like having a relationship with Sherlock when like
Which
in
is
the
like,
original
first of all,
books.
she did not give one single fuck about him.
Yeah, in the original book, she was like the only person to ever outsmart Sherlock Holmes, and she did it because she wanted to run away with her husband or like somebody she wanted to marry, and she
The
did it
Duke.
successfully. But then in every other adaptation of Sherlock Holmes, they are like romantically involved in some way. And in the BBC Sherlock version, she is a lesbian, but then is still in love with Sherlock. Like, she says she's a lesbian, but then I guess she's bi because she's in love with Sherlock.
And it's
she's
like, it's cool
obsessed
if
with
you
him.
think you're a lesbian and later realize you're bisexual, but trust me, Stephen Moffat cannot handle that level of complexity.
Yeah, and that was, and like, Stephen Moffat appears to think that being a bisexual femme fatale is feminism. But really, he just thinks it's hot and keeps putting it in his shows in like a really objectifying, gross way. And also, BBC Sherlock is queerbait trash, and he makes fun of his fans, and he's the worst.
He's just kind of bad at his job, also. But
Yeah.
we don't need to get into that.
Yeah, I don't even know why I mentioned his name. He's not worth talking about.
And with that, I have been JQ.
I've been Emily.
I've been Emma.
I've been Alyssa.
Rainer.
You have been watching Speak Out, the OutWrite podcast. You can read our articles at OutWriteNewsmag.org. That's right spelled WRITE. You can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, the website formerly known as Twitter. Thank you all for listening, and have a great rest of your day.
Bye.